Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to have a look at my top 5 resurrections of discontinued vintage fragrances from Dua Fragrances, a favourite topic of mine. Dua, of course, well known for recreating more famous fragrances, but before we get into this list, in the interest of impartiality, I should point out that there are some less expensive versions of well-known fragrances out there, and here's a bit more information about some of those. Black Excess by Paco Rabanne is a great scent, no doubt about that, but have you ever considered Black X5? I think it's just as good. Acqua di Gio from Armani has got rave reviews over the years and many of us love it. However, the price tag is a bit hefty, so why not try Acqua di Gio? That's the Preferio version. Sauvage from Dior is a great scent which sure gets compliments, but nowadays I'm getting just as many with Wilderness Man from Vase. You can't beat a classic women's perfume, and Coco by Chanel is certainly that, but this year I think my girlfriend will be just as happy with Cook perfume. My bottle of Terre d'Hermès recently ran out, money was a bit tight, and I've never looked back since discovering Terre de Horse. Okay guys, yes, hello, welcome back. So Dua Fragrances, a house that are well known for cloning things or doing what they call inspired expressions, where they recreate other more famous brands' work. In the case of today's list, we're looking at discontinued fragrances that you can't get anymore, which I think is a really exciting thing that they do. I did a recent video with Max 40 about some of our favourite discontinued gems, and it's great when a brand like Dua actually manages to find these fragrances, get a bottle of the old juice, run it through some kind of machine, I don't know exactly what they do, and then come out with something that to my nose in many cases smells incredibly close to the now very rare or very expensive fragrances that we can't really get easily anymore. My scent of the day today, by the way, is their take on Invasion Barbare by MDCI Parfums. That's not discontinued, doesn't qualify for today's list. It's called Invasion of the Barbers. It's superb. I've been enjoying it actually a lot in autumn, and it's just bang on, so close to the original barbershop, lovely powdery smell, but a little bit stronger actually, the Dua one. Let's get into today's list proper though. Okay, so my first selection, really excited. This is a relatively new release. It's called The Year of 1849, and it is, of course, Dua's recreation of Millesime 1849 from the House of Creed. This was a Harrods exclusive fragrance released in 2013. It came in this green bottle. I've tried to get a reasonably priced bottle of the original race recently. It's become really, really hard. It's gone crazy in price. People are just charging way too much for it. So unfortunately, apart from having the memory of smelling it in the stores, I have little chance to do a direct comparison with the original fragrance. However, I love this fragrance, Year of 1849. It's got a kind of an old school looking bottle, and I kind of, in my mind, I was thinking, oh, it's quite a bit like Bois de Portugal or something, which is another favourite of mine from Creed, but it's not actually. The note listing for this one, you've got bergamot, jasmine, patchouli, cedarwood, ylang ylang, sandalwood, agarwood, bourbon vanilla and musk, and it's a really, really interesting complex fragrance. I would call it a spicy floral woody scent. The jasmine and ylang ylang combination is really, really strong in this one, and it could even suggest to you that it leans slightly feminine at times, but there's this real kind of spicy woody undertone, a little bit of a sweetness, a definite musky element, and there's a note of agarwood or oud in there that doesn't really jump out as being very prominent, but perhaps is playing a subtle and complex role. So a really, really interesting woody, spicy floral scent with a definite old school vibe, definitely a dressed up kind of scent, and actually a kind of unisex fragrance. Amazing performance on this, lasts absolutely ages, and I've just been really loving this one in the week or two since I got it. It's a great fragrance. I want to get the original, I want to try and compare it, but I know Dua normally do a great job. So really long lasting, classy vibe, smells really complex, like very much a niche fragrance. It doesn't smell like some kind of Armaf clone, and I'm absolutely loving Year of 1849. Price wise, this one, I think, let's have a look at the price for this one. This is $65. Normally the Duas are somewhere in the range of about $50 to $65. I think $60 is £44 in the UK, so they're not cheap. Okay, my next selection, I've mentioned this one before. It's a real favourite of the Fragcom, and one that's really, really difficult to find for anything like a reasonable price now, the original. By Man from Dolce Gabbana, legendary juice from 1997. I mentioned it in my recent video with Max 40. Dua have brought us Homme, and this is their recreation of the scent. The note listing on the Dua website gives walnut, pepper, artemisia, lavender, amber, sandalwood, gaiac wood, and leather. This one is $60. This is so close. Here I've had the chance to really do direct comparisons on skin and on paper over probably had this one a year or something. It's a brilliant recreation. If you can't track down By Man for a good price, Dua's Pour Homme is very, very close to being it. They're never exact, but this is very close to being exactly the same. Performance at least as good as the original, arguably a little bit better. And yeah, I can't tell a noticeable difference. Some of these Duos have some differences in the opening that you can pick out a bit more than others, but in this case, it's almost like exactly the same thing. So one of my absolute favourites, probably my favourite of the whole lot, in fact, is Pour Homme, and that is their version of By Man. Check it out, guys. Okay, next we have another long-standing favourite in the vintage fragcom loving world. This is, of course, Rive Gauche Pour Homme from Yves Saint Laurent 2003 release, regarded by many people as the ultimate barbershop fragrance, a kind of shaving foam smell in this one. It's everything that was great about Azzaro Pour Homme from 1978. Everything that you might like about Brut, but improved and smoothened up and made a little bit more classy. It's a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. Smells just like the kind of cleanest, most upscale, best shaving foam ever. The note listing for the Duo version, River Fougère, is pretty much the same as the original. It's lavender, rosemary, star anise, lovely kind of licorice-esque note, bergamot, clove, tonka bean, geranium, patchouli, gaiac wood, vetiver, oak moss. It's your classic aromatic fougère, gentlemanly, sort of barbershop style, but a very upscale rendition of a barbershop. Really frustrating that this one is now discontinued. They reissued it in a square bottle. We can't get that anymore. River Fougère from Duo. I've done the A-B side by side. There's next to no difference at all. It is the exact same smell. I don't know quite how they did it, because maybe some of the ingredients in the original YSL fragrance, maybe the oak moss must be restricted a bit now, but I really can't pick out a difference in scent. Very, very good performer, the Duo one, lasts ages. And you know, if you've got an old vintage bottle that you're cherishing with just a few mils left, you don't want to waste them, get River Fougère. It does exactly the same job. Superb juice, love it. Okay, my next pick is the other one in the list that I don't own the original. I've never smelled it, and this is incredibly rare and hard to find. It's Green Valley from Creed, a legendary 1999 release. It was famously themed after a game of golf. Olivia Creed was inspired on the golf course and came up with this wonderfully fresh, vibrant, green, juicy, minty fragrance. Well, I've never smelled the original, but if Vert Instinct by Duo is anything to go by, that's how I would describe it. So Vert Instinct is the Duo version. I'll give you the note listing from the Duo website. They have mandarin, bergamot, ginger, blackcurrant and musk. So not many notes in this one. It's kind of simple. It's bright, it's zesty, it's got a citrus element, a certain juicy sweetness. I pick up on a sort of a hint of mint, maybe like spearmint or something. Somewhat similar vibe, many people say, to Green Irish Tweed by Creed, but it's different to that one. It's got a little bit more of an optimistic, less austere aura than Green Irish Tweed. It's got this real vibrancy with the blackcurrant, this juiciness, and it's just a brilliant, unique. I've never smelled anything quite like this. A unique, fresh, green, citrus, fruity fragrance. So versatile, very unisex, and brilliant stuff. I'd love to try the original, but for now, Vert Instinct is probably as close as I'm going to get. And it's a real treasured one in my collection, actually, this one. Okay, so next up we've got a legendary fragrance. Again, sadly gone, this one. Italian Cypress from Tom Ford. Or apparently, I think they brought it back, didn't they? Is it still out there? Well, I'm still counting it as discontinued. I think it might have been brought back temporarily or something. I've got an old bottle here. It was a 2008 private blend release from the golden era of the Tom Ford private blends, when they were quite a new thing. The note listing is mandarin, bergamot, galbanum, basil, mint, Icelandic moss, my favourite kind of moss, patchouli, precious woodsy notes, and labdanum and cypress, of course, in there. So this is a fantastic fragrance, often compared to vintage Polo Green from Ralph Lauren, but again, just refined and smoothed up a bit. That was a very rugged fragrance. And this is a bit more of a tuxedo version of Polo Green from Ralph Lauren, the vintage juice. It's really a beautiful, masculine, slightly old school, almost fougère-ish, fougère stroke chypre type fragrance. It doesn't have lavender, it doesn't have many of the classic important notes to classify it as a fougère, so I guess we probably call it more of a woody aromatic or a chypre type scent. But it's very complex, it's very rich, it's got a greenness about it, a woodiness, and just this fantastically mature and classy aura. It's got a real old school smell as well, and the thing I really pick up on the Duo version, it's called Italian Decorum, is that it really has this, as does the original, this smell that you think, no, those are some ingredients that you can't use anymore. It must be the oak moss, it must be this. But of course, Duo fragrances, I believe, are IFRA compliant. So I don't know how they did it to comply with modern laws, but it's incredibly close to the original fragrance. Real classy, upscale kind of fragrance, when I want to be mature, I want to feel smart, I want to dress up in a sports jacket, as you call it in the States, that kind of thing, white shirt. Italian decorum is a superb way to save yourself splashing out big dollars, which you probably have to nowadays, to find Italian Cypress. So guys, let me know in the comments down below if you've tried any of these fragrances. What are your favorite discontinued fragrances that you'd like to see maybe Do It or anybody else resurrect and recreate? These are my 5 favorites at the moment. There are quite a few others at the moment. A couple of them were out of stock that I would have included. Midnight Rendezvous, superb version of La Nuit de l'Homme. Aqua Adventure 2016 is their Invictus Aqua 2016 version. Seems to be out of stock at the moment, but superb stuff. I will link the brand in the description. They did send the fragrances for free. I try to review them honestly though. I've given you the pluses mainly because I love the ones I picked today. On the downside, presentation is not amazing, and for something that is essentially based on a more prestigious brand, they're not cheap. So of course, you've got to bear that in mind. Thank you ever so much for joining me. I'll see you in the next video. Remember, whatever you're doing in life, let's project. Bye bye.